Hello, crafty friends. Good morning. Happy Friday. Glad you're here today for the live. This is my third time going live this week, and I am excited about it. I think this is my favorite part of what I get to do at Tailored Expressions is actually being with all of you, crafting together, sharing some of my favorite things that we've come up with, and hopefully teaching you some new tips and tricks along the way. I am really excited about today's live. I mentioned that yesterday, that I'm trying a new technique that's kind of a little out of my comfort zone. Sometimes we all have to get outside of our box, and I definitely tried to do that with today's project, and I'm excited to share it with all of you. So as you're hopping on, say hello. If you're just seeing this pop up in your feed, I am live today to talk about our final Combo Club launch. I know, it's like bittersweet because everybody loves the Combo Club, but it's bittersweet because it is our last one. So if you're not familiar with Combo Club or you haven't become a member before, we offer what we call Combo Club each year, where we combine two products. This year's combination has been a 3D embossing folder and a coordinating layering stencil. So the two products work together, and then we produce other products that are exclusive to our Combo Club members that go with the products that are shipped automatically to you each month, and we call that our super size. So if you want to supersize your combo, you can add on some of those extra products, and today we're going to talk through what is available to you and kind of figure out how to wrap up this thing we call Combo Club for this year. If you're interested in joining us next year, then tune in around the February time. We typically open up our membership at that time, and we're offering 3 and 6 months opportunities for you to get that shipped automatically to your door. Another little thing I want to mention is those of you who are members currently, you're going to get a Combo Club survey. That's coming out, I believe, sometime in the next week or so, and we would love to get your feedback. One of the most important things that I look at in that survey, not only did you enjoy the Combo Club, but we love to hear your thoughts on future Combo Club offerings. And so we have some ideas that we've put out, and I'd love to get your vote on if you love Combo Club and you're in it for next year. We have some options for you to choose from what you would most like to see as next year's combo product. So yes, just really excited about this. Let me say hi to some of you as you're hopping on today. Hello, Amy out in Hawaii. Rachel's here. You supersized this morning. That's awesome. We've got Donna and Susan got her order in. Linda, you're loving your combo clubs. It was your first experience. That's great to hear. Awesome. And Yvette said you went to peek at it and it's amazing. So the Combo Club items did launch at 9 a.m. Central Time this morning. It's now 10 a.m. and we're going to go through them and get crafty together. So, oh, Danetta is sad that it's the last Combo Club. I agree. However, Combo Club always ends kind of at the perfect time of year for us because things are really going to start moving around here as we get into the fall. We have, obviously, we just celebrated our birthday this week, and then we have our big holiday release, our fall release, season of crafting, Black Friday, Advent calendar. All of those things are going to be happening in the last quarter of this year, and so the excitement doesn't end for sure. All right, well, let's take a look then at what will be coming to you automatically if you are a member of the Combo Club. I'm going to get my screen moved down here and show you guys what's coming to you. So the final Combo Club, we are exploring everything fall with this beautiful Lovely Leaves combo and 3D embossing folder combo. So let me open this up. This is how it comes to you in one of our Velcro pouches. These are available for you to purchase separately. So if you love storing your things in here, you can do that by purchasing extras separately. We store all of our combo products in these Velcro pouches. So those are available on the website, and your Combo Club comes with one. So as I mentioned, layering stencil and embossing folder. The layering stencil has these layers that create the beautiful leafy pattern in the background. So this time it is a 3-layer stencil and creates that beautiful leafy pattern that you can then line up with the coordinating 3D embossing folder. This is going to add those beautiful details here. We have the veining in the leaves. We've got some of those leaves that are popped up higher than others, and so that's how you get that 3D effect. That's a little bit different than a 2D embossing folder where everything is at the same level. It allows us to get some of those more intricate details into the design. So we're going to use this on our project today. And I'm actually not going to be using the layering stencil, but when you get this, we did give you some inspiration on color. So you have a more traditional fall combo over here with the reds, a little bit of that earthy green color, and of course some yellow orangey tones. So we're going to be seeing the leaves turning these beautiful colors here in just a few weeks. And then we have another color story that's a little more modern, and that one has some blue cheese incorporated into it, along with the kind of reds and yellows as well. So you get those on the back. You can also access this QR code when you get it. It will take you back to the video that you're watching right now. So if you want to see my project that we're creating today, you can easily scan that QR code and it'll bring you to today's live, and you can re-watch this once you receive these products, and you may want to remake them or remake the project. Okay, so let's talk about some of our samples using the new products along with our supersize items. Let's go ahead and talk about our supersize products first because I think that will help you understand kind of how this all works together. So this is what we call a base layer stencil. This is the Lovely Leaves base layer, and this is a stencil that incorporates all of the leaves into one layer. The layering stencil that you get breaks apart the leaves so that you can easily color them in different colors. And I'm going to show you some samples where this base layer really adds a layer of opportunity for you to do some really cool techniques with. And this is actually what I'm going to be using today to do my project. We're going to be doing some finger painting. Whitney, when was the last time you finger painted? Kindergarten. So I know I haven't finger painted for a long time, but that's what we're going to be doing today, and I just love how the project's turned out. So this is the base layer stencil that we're going to use for the technique I'm doing today, and I also have some other projects that Sue created to show you how to use the base layer in unique ways. So actually, let's look at this one on the dark cardstock. So what you can do with this base layer is easily stencil the entire design onto dark cardstock, and you do that with a white pigment ink. And then you can place those additional layers over the top and apply your colored inks so that your color will pop off of the dark cardstock. So as many of you know, pigment inks are designed to sit on top of the cardstock, which is why you start with that sugar cube layer, the white layer of ink, because it sits on top of the dark cardstock. So then when you add your colored ink over the top, it doesn't soak into the dark cardstock and become not visible. It sits on top of the white cardstock and pops off of that dark color. So the base layer stencil helps you achieve that really easily. Otherwise, without this, you would have to go through each layer, first applying the white ink, letting it dry, and then coming back and applying the colored ink, moving on to the next layer, etc. So really fun things you can do with that. Now let's take a look at this piece. This is the Lovely Leaves 6x6 rubber background stamp. So this includes the veining from the leaves in a little bit more detail, so we can get a lot more intricate with our rubber stamps than we can with the embossing folder. So you get these really gorgeous veining details that you could emboss. You can stamp them in color, really lots of opportunity, and then the alignment squares line up with the layering stencil that you received. So Heather did a beautiful job creating with the products from this combo club, using all of them in really fun and unique ways. So let's take both of these, for example. She used that base layer stencil to add the sugar cube ink before she applied the color over the top. And she also used the veining. On this one, the veining is stamped in sugar cube ink. And on this one, the veining is stamped in green tea ink. And she embossed both of them, so you can also use the embossing folder with that stamp to give even more dimension and detail. Doesn't this look beautiful?
So pretty.
I love these. The colors she used, gorgeous together, and the other fun dyes that she incorporated with those. That's from our Garden Variety Fall set, which I will be using on the live today as well. So that is the stamp. Let's look at one more that uses that same technique that I've been talking about. This time on latte cardstock, she applied the sugar cube ink first and then added the colored inks over the top in a more traditional fall color combination. I love that knock-on wood background stamp. Also looks so perfect for fall. So beautiful cards. Good job, Heather. All right, then of course we have to have sentiments for our combo club supersize, and these are really fun new fall sentiments called Cozy Vibes and the coordinating dies. So you get some fall themed, but also some that you can use throughout the year. Missing you, many thanks, thankful for you. I love this one that says it's the most colorful time of the year. So super fun sentiments there, and lots of opportunity to cut them out and place them wherever you want them using those coordinating dies. Let's take a look at some of Jill's projects that combine lots of the different products from this. You can see she did use the stamp, the background stamp on both of these to really accent that veining in the leaves. I love her unique color combinations, a more modern retro look here, and then I love the purples over here. So you don't typically see purple leaves, but it does feel a little bit more fallish, regal colors here on the right side card. So I love, love, love that. All right, let's talk about this one too. Speaking of, did it end, Whitney? It's telling me to poor network connection. Sorry, what are you saying?
It's not on mine.
It's still going?
Oh, now it ended.
Okay.
So you want to
Let me hit recover broadcast and see if that works. So I am having some connection issues, so if you guys can hear me, I think I went away for just a couple seconds here, but refresh and see if you can leave me a comment that says you're back and you hear me. So I think we're good. Whitney says she sees my card, even though I haven't seen any comments yet, but hopefully we're working. So yes, Susan, I did just say I love the purples. So this is another card. Sue created this one. Look at the amazing use of paste on this one. This is actually what inspired me to kind of use the paste and get creative with it. It's not something that I have, that I use quite a lot, but I loved how this turned out for Sue. And she actually used the base layer stencil and the layering stencil on dark cardstock. So this is actually on black cardstock to start with. And then after that, she put paste over the entire project. And then when the paste dried, she used our teal sanding block to sand off some of the paste and reveal that color and cardstock behind. So really, really unique. Okay, everything's all good for you guys. Thank you for all the comments. I think we're still going. If I get that message again, I'll just push the same button I pushed last time. So all right, let's take a look at one last product. And those of you who love foiling, this is for you. This is our Foil-It for Lovely Leaves. And we've got 3 different versions of this that give you different varieties for using with the layering stencil. They all have the alignment squares on them. I think this one is really fun and unique. It has different swirl pattern in the background that works along with those leaves, a little bit different. This one, of course, your leaves are, or your colors being stenciled inside the outline. And then here, the foil replaces one of the colored sections on the stencil. So, all right, that is the foilet. Now let's take a look at the projects we're going to be making today. And I did a lot of like trial and some error with this, but I was able to, this is where the finger painting comes in. I was able to create this really fun textured looking pattern using the base layer stencil and then some Lunar paste along with a stamp over the top. You see that fun detail on top of the Lunar paste? So I learned after you let it dry, you can actually stamp over the top of it and it dries on top of the Lunar paste. So I did a lot of experimenting. I'm going to show you one of my panels that I started with. We're going to be making this one today, but I also created this one. I wasn't quite as fond of this one, but it is a very similar technique, a little more distressed looking. So when I got to, I just kept going. When I got to this one, I applied the paste a little bit thicker so that it was more opaque and you couldn't see through to the back. On this one, I applied the paste a little bit just more haphazardly, less thick so that it has some openings. And then I did the thing that Sue did when it dried. I used that teal sanding block over the top of it to give it some distressed look. So I'm saving this, and you might see some cards with this in the future, but I wanted to show you both versions and explain how you can kind of get both looks depending on your style. If you like it to look more consistently applied and less see-through, or if you like the more vintage rustic look here, you can do both. And this says, EC says, this is why the Lunar Paste bundle is in my cart. So now's a good time to mention that we did create a bundle for you that includes the 3 Lunar Pastes that I'm using on the projects today. It's Gold Rush, Refined Copper, and Cookie Dough. Do not eat cookie dough.
I was just going to say, woo!
I know, we've talked a lot about edible cookie dough this week, and This is not edible cookie dough. But these are the 3 colors, and they are available in the supersize category as a bundle. So if you're loving the technique we're doing today, you can achieve the same look with these 3 pastes. So we are going to start. Let's get going with the sour gummy cardstock is what I'm going to be using. I want to make sure this stays down in place on my glass board while we're doing this technique. And so I'm going to paste that down. And we're actually going to start with some ink on this stencil and not the paste. So you can tell in the background of this stencil, there are some tiny leaves throughout the background. And those I am not going to end up putting paste onto. I'm just going to do them tone on tone with sour gummy ink on the sour gummy cardstock using one of our detail blender brushes. It's easier to do this step first because it's a lot easier to clean ink off of your stencil than it is to clean paste. So I'm just going to take that detail blender brush and go over these tiny leaves that fall kind of in between the larger leaves. And this just adds, again, that little extra depth and dimension. The other nice part about doing this step first is that your Lunar paste, it does overlap color. It is opaque if you apply it thick enough, which means you can't see any color behind it. So if I do overlap into these larger leafy areas, that's okay because the paste is going to cover it up. All right. And guess what else we're going to do today?
What?
We're going to do a little cleaning because I found the most perfect way to clean this stencil. As I mentioned, I played with this technique a lot, and I'll admit I got tired of cleaning the paste off the stencil. And so, by the second or third time as I was playing with this design, I figured out a great way to clean paste off of stencils.
Good job, you.
Thanks. Always looking to make life easier, right?
Yes.
So I brought my little bucket of water in, and we're going to pretend it's a sink. But I'm going to show you how to clean off your stencils really easily with from the paste. Okay, so as I mentioned, it's okay that we had that little bit of kind of going over the edge because our paste is going to cover it for us. I am going to wash this stencil quickly before we move on to the paste. And cleaning ink off is a lot easier. Just use your alcohol spray bottle, and I kind of dab these stencils when I clean the ink off of them because they are so intricate, especially with leaves. There are those little pokey pieces where the leaf detailing is kind of angled. So you don't want to rub across the stencil because your washcloth will get stuck on it. And that was part of what I discovered when I was cleaning these, that getting that paste off was difficult, but there's an easier way coming soon. Okay, so we're just going to line that back up over the top of what was inked. And I am going to tack this stencil in place. I want to tack it down really well. I have mentioned before that I will usually try to avoid pixie spray. However, for some of you that maybe have a little bit more difficulty staying in the lines of the stencil, or if it's your first try doing this, you could use pixie spray on this design. But I found that by having the stencil just tacked down really well around the outside while we're working, I didn't have any problems with the application. So I got that tacked down really nicely. Now let's go ahead with our first color of Lunar paste, and I'm going to use the cookie dough first. And so one other little tip, as I was doing this, I mentioned we're going to do finger painting today, and I just took my finger and kind of dug it into the jar. Well, I found that oftentimes the paste was getting caught underneath my nail because my nails are long. So if you have long nails as well, I would suggest taking some of that paste out of the jar. If you have a glass board, even better. We are going to be able to return this to the jar, so anything that we don't use can go back in the jar. So take out whatever you think you're going to use, and then just dip your finger, the pad of your finger, into the paste, and then we're just going to take that and start kind of dabbing it, circling, almost like you're putting on into the paste, and then we're just going to take that and start kind of dabbing it, circling, almost like you're putting on like a little blush. If you have like a cream blush that you're putting on your cheeks, just a light touch across the stencil. I'm not pushing into the design, just kind of moving my finger across the top of the stencil in a circular motion until I feel like I have applied a good amount to the stencil so that I can't see the cardstock behind it anymore. Obviously, the thicker the layer that you put on, the longer it's going to take to dry. This is not going to dry during the time of our live video, so I actually have one here that I've already done that is, I have one here that I've already done that is dry, so, all right. Free to ask questions as I'm moving along here too, because this does take a little bit of time, but you guys, so worth it in the end. And when you create a panel like this, you want to try to get as many projects as you can out of it. So I figured out how to make 3 cards out of this one panel. And I'm just kind of deciding where I want to put the colors, varying throughout the background.
This is really calming.
Isn't it kind of fun to just watch?
Be very tactile with your products too,
yes.
You know? Sometimes that's very therapeutic. I need this today. I'm getting on an airplane and I get a little nervous, but this is really pretty. I love it.
All right, we're almost done with this first color, and then a couple more leaves here at the top. And the great thing about this is it's really easy to stay inside the lines. So I'm not having any problems with over painting. And even if you do, it's not the end of the world because this background turns out just really fun and eccentric, not perfect. All right. Anybody else ever done finger painting like this? Have you tried it? We're gonna have to get a baby wipe out here so I can wash my finger off and start with the next color. Okay, so that was cookie dough, and again we can take that paste off of our glass board and return it back into the jar, whatever I didn't use here. Just scrape that off, put it back in. That is a great question. EC's asking, when is the last day we can order products from the exclusive category? So, Whitney, I don't know if you can verify this for me, but I believe it is the 15th of October.
Yes, it is.
Okay. October 15th is your last day. That is when that exclusive category will disappear. And some of these products do end up coming out later. The ones that coordinate specifically with the products in your combo club likely will not be released because the combo club products themselves are exclusive. So, like EC said, the coordinating foilets, those will not be part of our collection because the products that they coordinate with are exclusive. So grab those consumables that you definitely know you want to keep on hand for a while and do that before October 15th. All right, so this next color that I have is Gold Rush. We're just jumping right in here, finger painting away. Anybody have questions? Farley says she's getting on a plane next week. Haven't flown anywhere since 2011. You guys will do just fine.
It's actually like a break. You just have to sit in the seat and do nothing.
Yes.
Which kind of drives my brain wild when I have so much to do. I'm like, but I could be cleaning the house and folding the laundry and doing, but they're like, just sit here.
Right.
And read your book or something like that. That's really hard for my brain.
Prepare yourself. You can do it. Find something that brings you a little bit of joy. I love to read, so I usually read on planes, but then also reading makes me tired. It's something I do at night to fall asleep, and so then usually I end up closing my eyes for part of the flight because I start reading and then I get tired and then, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I have like a slight panic about falling asleep on an airplane because one time I took a 6 a.m. flight and I fell asleep and the lady next to me woke me up and she was like, "You're snoring really loud." It was so embarrassing. But, you just are kind of like, oh, gosh, it's early.
Sorry.
Woke up. Thank you for letting me know. Now I'm like, I don't want to ever do that again.
Oh, it happens.
It does, but I'm excited. I did get a book packed, so we'll see.
All right, we're almost there. Next color. And like I said, it's going to be worth it. Okay, let's pick this back up again and put it back in our jar. And we'll wipe up. As you can see, this does take a little while, so our paste is kind of drying as we go, which makes it maybe even harder to remove from the stencil. Can you tell I'm excited about this cleaning thing that I'm going to show you here in just a bit? And maybe it's nothing that you guys haven't already thought of, but yeah, I hadn't. So, all right, so this last layer then is refined copper. And we'll do these remaining leaves. And if you're just tuning in, I mentioned earlier that I am intentionally avoiding these kind of small leaves throughout the background. I inked them tone on tone to start with, so they do have a little bit of color in the background. I feel like I have to concentrate too as I do this. No big plans for us this weekend except for Maddie's birthday tomorrow. I think the family's headed out to Cheesecake Factory that was her choice for a little celebration. And I got a lot of presents and stuff to wrap. Pretty sure Maddie doesn't watch my lives, so we ended up getting her a little desk set up for her bedroom, and she loves home decor and decorating, and so we got the desk, but I got some wall art to put up so she has a little spot to do her homework, and she loves Legos, so she wanted a desk to do her Legos on. And we got her a couple Lego sets. She really wanted the Moana Legos because her brother Henry loves Moana and she wants to build it for him. So I thought that was sweet. So I got her Moana Legos. And
I love that she loves Legos. That's
I know.
Something you love
I
to
loved
do as
Legos
well.
when I was a kid too.
I mean, even when you were a grown-up, you would put together those large Lego sets.
They have adult Legos now, and John has bought them for me on a few occasions because it's just another one of those therapeutic things. I love following the step-by-step instructions and coming out with a really fun. I think I built a Ferris wheel. That was my biggest one that I've done.
I remember that was when I found out that you kept doing Legos after our childhood. Was when I came to your house and you're like, yeah, I built that. I was like, stop! That is so cute. It was very fun. And it moved.
It
the
did.
Whole Ferris wheel went
you
around.
Could move it. It had a mechanism. Yeah. Okay, guys. Let's see. We have a couple questions. It looks like that Lunar Paste bundle is sold out. So you guys were excited about that. Lunar Paste is something we've carried for a while, and now that you see a fun use for it, I'm glad you're inspired. We will restock that, and you can continue to get it individually, or we might leave the bundle up for you as well. It'll just be in our regular catalog since it's not an exclusive product just for combo clubs. So, all right. You could also see what other fun colors there are, because I know they've got a really nice red color that would be fun for fall. Okay. There we go. I'll hold this up in the camera as I carefully peel off this tape. I don't want any of that to get my piece messed up since we took so much time to do this. Can't get this one to come off with my nails here. Come on. There we go. Okay. Take this up, grab a little part of it. Show you guys what that looks like. Look at how pretty that is. You can see those tone-on-tone leaves in the background. We need to leave this dry for a bit. I would say maybe 20 to 30 minutes it needs to dry. And I have one here that I have already let dry. So we're going to go ahead with the live using this one. I'm going to make sure I set this other one aside. Just know that this is kind of the magic of the live, and know that the actual piece that we created is still wet, and I'm moving on with a different dry piece. Okay, so here it is. The big cleaning. I'm going to go ahead and do the glass board really quick. And I would recommend doing this in your sink or something like that. I'm doing it in a wash tub. I just find it easier to do if you have some running water. It does take a little bit of alcohol and some elbow grease to scrub this paste off the glass board, but the glass board has been such a helpful tool in kind of wanting to do these techniques that are more mixed media because it's so easy to clean up. Okay, so we have that stencil. Whether you're able to clean it right away or not, I would recommend putting it in some water, just because the longer you allow that paste to get kind of cemented on there, the harder it is to get off. So you can take and just kind of rub your fingers over the stencil and get off as much of that paste that's not yet kind of dried on there off of there. And you can see it didn't really take off a lot of the paste. There's still quite a bit of paste on there. So I'm going to get out some Dawn Power Wash. This is not really a secret. I know lots of you use this product yourself in your cleaning. When I'm just at my desk, I prefer to use alcohol. It dries faster. It doesn't have all the bubbles and such. But when you're doing something like this, I like to, you need a little bit more of that cleaning power. So we have that. Now, I'm going to credit Whitney with this next step because she had left this by the sink at TE. And so when I went over to the sink to wash my stencil, what did I find? I found the clean sweep next to the sink, and I thought, well, I'm just going to get this wet and I'm going to rub it over the top of my stencil. The awesome part about this is all of these tiny bristles don't snag on your intricate designs. And so that means you can give it a little bit more elbow grease as you are scrubbing with this clean sweep, because it's not getting snagged on all of those little intricate designs. So see the spots that I've rubbed already? All of that paste is gone. And we'll do these other corners here, just kind of scrubbing back and forth. And again, I'm giving it some good pressure. I'm not being really delicate with it because of all those bristles. Everything is sliding over the stencil really nicely. Got a little splatter going on there. And then if you need to, you could spray it again. You can even let it sit a little bit with the Dawn Power Wash on it. And of course, the longer you let it sit and soak in, the better it will, or the easier it will come off. All right, let's pull this out of the water. Look at that, all clean. Of course, I don't have anything to rinse it with because I'm just in my wash bucket, but you can see perfectly clean. We can even take it out and dry it on our station here. I like to let these types of stencils dry by air just because, again, it is hard to, with a rag, you want to pat instead of rub because you don't want it to catch on all of those intricate designs. But look at that. Clean. It's a clean sweep. And our tool is called the Clean Sweep. And so you can use it not only for stencils, we designed it for cleaning stamps. And we have recommended it with using our stamper spritz with it. However, It works great for paste, and you can just keep it right at your sink. You can get it wet, leave it to dry.
I love that.
Isn't that great?
Good job, you.
Okay, well, let's start now getting crafty again back into this dry piece of material that I created previously. And I am going to slide that into my embossing folder. So I can show you guys how that lines up here. And we're gonna just make sure we get it right in place, shifting just ever so slightly. Okay, there we go. I've got it. I'm gonna hang on to it because I don't wanna lose this alignment that I've already done. So let me bring in my die cut machine, and we're gonna set this up for embossing. I have my embossing pad kit. I took out the die adapter plate, so you don't need this. You've got your embossing pad kit. I use just the thick layer, and I'm gonna put it through my machine with that folded edge first. Make sure it's completely on top of the embossing pad, and then we're gonna take our clear topper and send that through. And then you're gonna see how the embossing folder created all of that veining in the paste layer. So the thicker your paste layer, the more vivid your embossed lines will be, your veining lines. So if you're doing that technique that I showed you at the beginning, where your paste is not fully opaque on the cardstock, where it's more distressed looking, you don't see the veining quite as well on those inside the paste, just because it has more thickness to adhere into with that embossing folder. Isn't that fun? Sandy's asking if I switch my brush pad for paste, or is it fine to use on stamps afterwards? I usually keep a different one by my sink because it stays wet. So it takes a little bit of time to dry, and switching back and forth from paste to stamps is a little bit harder because my the one I use for paste is pretty wet. And so I like to use a different one, but I don't think there's anything that would make it hard as long as you're washing that pad out really well and you don't have leftover bits of paste or glitter in it. You wouldn't want to use it then to clean your stamps. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so we have our embossed details. Now we're going to stamp over the top of that Lunar paste using the Tweed background stamp. So we're gonna put this down into our MISTI. This is the Tweed background, and you can see all those little etch markings. This is a really great background for fall, and it adds such a fun texture over the top of these. So we've got a little bit of adhesive here, and I am just gonna plop that down on top, close the back, and that adhesive is going to help me pick it up to make sure it gets stamped in exactly the right spot. And we're going to go ahead and do Sour Gummy, since that's the color cardstock that I used. Okay. Get my Just Press tool out here so we can press this into the design. Now you could do the stamping before you do the embossing. I liked doing it this way because it sort of gave it a little bit of, it doesn't quite catch every area with the Tweed, and I liked having that little bit of distressing. But if you wanted it to catch more of your design, then you could stamp it before you emboss it. and that would allow it to catch more of the paper without having the raised levels of the 3D embossing folder. But look, not dry right away, so I'm not going to touch it yet, but that ink does dry on top of the paste, which I thought was a new thing that I had discovered as well. I had not tried stamping on top of paste before. All right, so let's keep going here. I'm going to keep my Misty here, and we are going to stamp another background onto our toffee cardstock. This is another great background for fall. This is called the Checking In background. So we'll get that tweed out of the way. And we'll put the Checking In background down. Again, placing the cardstock over the top. This is toffee cardstock, and it's an A2 layer size, so it's 4 by 5 1/4 is the size. And we'll do another tone on tone, so toffee ink on this background stamp. And this background has quite a lot of surface area, raised area of the stamp, and so I like to do a twist across, so I'm kind of twisting and pressing my ink pad, and then I just tap over the whole design to make sure that it is nice and evenly inked. And then a good press onto the cardstock. We'll pull it up, it looks perfect. Now sometimes if you have some areas where it doesn't grab the ink fully, or you just like to put it down and press again, rather than re-inking the design, I always try to close it. You can even see over on the side if there's any ink and you just need to press in that one spot. That's the beauty of the Misty and of rubber stamps. So just a little extra pressure and you get that design to transfer fully. Okay, so this is going to go on here, and we need to do our leaves next. I have already pre-cut these, and I mentioned earlier, this is a great set to use for fall. I used Garden Variety Fall. It has lots of different leaf styles in it. Maple leaf, oak leaf, we have acorns, and some other more traditional looking leaves. So that is the set I'm using on this card. But then I also created a second one. We have this set called Garden Variety Prairie that includes some wheatgrass and other greenery pieces. There are cattails in there. I thought that worked really nice. Isn't that great? Yes. I love that one. So yes, this is another option. So Garden Variety Fall and Garden Variety Prairie. Let's see. Denine's asking, did the tweed background hit the spaces where there are no leaves? It did. So if I pull this up into the camera, you can see the tweed down in the background as well as on the leaves. Okay, so I have these pre-cut. This is sweet potato pie and peaches and cream and toffee. And we're actually going to hit these with latte ink. So I'm pulling in a little bit darker than toffee. Somebody mentioned, Valerie, I think that your sound is going out. Sometimes when that happens, people recommend closing the video and then opening it back up again. And a lot of times that helps your connection and the sound. All right, so a little bit of latte around the outside of that one. Let's do on the edges of sweet potato. Another just kind of, I don't know, tip or reminder, you don't always have to do tone on tone blending with your die cuts. A lot of times that's all you see me do is I will just grab the same ink as the cardstock and hit the outside edges with it. But in this case, I wanted these to look more distressed, more fallish, so I actually took a brown ink and used that on the edges of all of them. I'm also going to use, actually I'm going to hit this one just a little bit heavier for the oak leaf. And then I'm also going to pull out the sweet potato pie on this peaches and cream just to give it another added layer of color on there. All right. Clean off the glass board. And it's time to splatter again. You guys have heard it's something that I do often, thanks to Miss Heather. Especially these more rustic looking distressed cards. I love to splatter them, often with 2 colors of splatter, which is what I'll be doing today. I'm going to be using the Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White, and we'll do that layer first. It's a little bit easier to clean off of my brush, and I'm using the same brush, so grab a little bit of that medium. I'm going to put it up in the corner, and a few drops of water from my dropper bottle, and mix that medium together, and then splatter that. There we go. It's a little bit harder when you have kind of pieces you're splattering onto to make sure that they all get kind of equally splattered. I'm just going to take a baby wipe then and use that to wipe out the brush. Like I said, the Bleed Proof White comes out of the brush a little bit easier and faster. Usually when I'm using the, what I'm going to use next is the Chocolate Truffle Liquid Watercolor. Usually I have to bring my brush to the sink and wash it out that way to get all of the brown completely out. So this one, you do not have to dilute with water. I just put 3 or 4 drops down onto the glass board and pick that up. I do my first taps off to the side so that my largest drops coming off the brush aren't directly on my leaves. So till I see a few drops come off the brush, and then I move over to the leaves to splatter those. All right, pull that out. See if I can grab these, get my tweezers so that I don't maybe accidentally mess up my beautiful splatter with my fingers. Or maybe not. There we go. Picking them up by the stem is kind of the easiest way. Here's what that looks like. And there's my last one. Camera doesn't want to pick that one up. There we go. All right. So we'll let those dry a second while we take our piece of finger painted artwork. And I was able to cut this down into 3 equal pieces. I cut off the edges already, and so actually it looks like there's a little bit of a stencil edge up here. I'm going to grab my paper trimmer and just make sure that my pattern is going edge to edge and I don't have any of those straight lines from where the stencil cuts off. Now, if you measure this, it's about 5 3/4. I think what I did on mine was somewhere between 1 3/4 and 2 inches on each piece. So I'll go ahead with, let's do 1 3/4 plus 1/16 and see where that gets us. Then we've got 4 left, so then we can do 2 that are both 2 inches. So I have one that's about 1 3/4 and two that are 2 inches. It really doesn't make a big difference how wide the strip is. The cards pretty much look very similar. Here's the 2 that I created, and you can see what those look like there. All right, so let's take that piece. It's going to be the 1 3/4, and we'll go 5 1/4. And that's going to fit down the side of this toffee piece. Go ahead and glue that down with my tape runner. Everything, we're in the tornado stage of crafting right now, which is everything is everywhere. So if I can find my tape runner, I'm doing well. Burlap twine is another thing I love to use for fall cards, and we have this available at the Tailored Expression store. You can get it in a full roll like this, 400 yards, but you'd be surprised how much burlap twine you can go through. Okay, I am going to tie this off, but I want to wrap it around my project. Before I do that, I want to wrap it 3 times. So I'm leaving a little tail here, enough so that I can tie the bow at the end. And then we're going to wrap it 1, 2, 3. And then I'll leave a little bit of extra up here. So I'm leaving a tail at the top and a tail where I started so that I can easily tie a bow in this string. And bows are hard to tie, I understand. So if you like to, instead of, tying the bow fully, you can just wrap your twine, tape it behind the back, and then tie a bow and bow on with a glue dot. That works too. So then I kind of spread these out so they look like they're wrapped kind of evenly across the project. This one wants to stay where it's at, just like that. Okay, then we have our pieces here that maybe I want to move this twine over just a touch onto the blue layer, so that I have a little more space to put my leaves, with this one going down and this one going up. And those are adhered just directly down to the card base. I'll use my tape runner for that. I'm actually not sure if I waited quite long enough for my splatter, so I'm going to try to avoid smudging it by just pressing down, up, and not dragging over the top of that. And then this one. And then our oak leaf, I went ahead and popped this up. So I'll grab a couple pieces of foam tape for the back. And we'll pop this one in the middle of the other 2. Almost there. Okay, I'm going to nestle it underneath the ribbon so it kind of looks like it's tied in with that bow. All right, just like that.
Your bows are so beautiful.
Thank you. And then we just need a sentiment. So I did this ahead of time as well. This is from the new sentiment set, the Cozy Vibes, and it is stamped on buttercream and embossed with gold embossing powder. So Sorry, we've had some connection issues today, and if I don't catch the button popping up on my screen to keep going, then it freezes for a second. But I think we're back now. You guys are seeing us just fine. All right, I want that sentiment to touch one of the leaves to kind of draw your eye into that whole design in the middle. And then this is going to go onto a piece of sweet potato pie cardstock. Perfect fall color. Looks great with that copper lunar paste. And then I wanted a little bit of buttercream, so this actually is not a card base. The sweet potato is not the card base, it's just the card base size. And then I have a buttercream card base here, and we're just gonna pop that onto the card base. There we go. Now I have 3 beautiful fall cards. We have Happy Autumn, Hello Fall, and Many Thanks. And you can make all 3 of those with that one panel that we created by finger painting with Lunar paste. So hopefully you learned something new today. I was pretty excited about using something different, something a little bit outside of my normal comfort zone. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in today, and hope to see you back here on Tuesday for the live, and you can check out our product reveal tomorrow on the Fans of Tailored Expressions page for your early sneak peek. All right, everybody, have a good